On June 22, 1940, France officially surrendered to Nazi Germany after being swiftly overwhelmed in just 6 weeks. Adolf Hitler, eager to humiliate the French, chose the same railway carriage in Compiègne where Germany had surrendered to France in 1918 to sign the armistice. The moment was symbolic revenge for Germany's defeat in World War I. The image of Hitler celebrating marked one of his greatest personal triumphs, but also set the stage for years of brutal occupation in France. Between September 1940 and May 1941, Nazi Germany launched an intense bombing campaign against the United Kingdom, known as the Blitz. London was hit especially hard, with firestorms raging through the city as German bombs obliterated homes, factories, and landmarks. Despite the destruction, the British people remained defiant, seeking shelter in underground stations and carrying on with daily life. The image of London burning serves as a testament to British resilience, as Prime Minister Winston Churchill famously declared, "We shall never surrender." On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, in an effort to cripple the American Pacific Fleet. Over 2,400 Americans were killed, and numerous battleships, including the USS Arizona, were destroyed. The attack shocked the nation and led to the United States declaring war on Japan the next day, officially entering World War II. The image captures the chaos as Japanese warplanes bombarded the harbor, forever changing the course of history. As Japan faced inevitable defeat, the military resorted to desperate measures, including the use of kamikaze pilots, suicide attackers who deliberately crashed explosive-laden planes into enemy ships. These young pilots, often no older than 18 or 19, were seen as Japan's last hope against the overwhelming Allied forces. They left behind farewell letters and were given ceremonial send-offs. The image of a kamikaze pilot preparing for his mission highlights the fanaticism and despair that defined Japan's final stand in World War II. On June 6, 1944, Allied forces launched Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion in history, to liberate Nazi-occupied France. Omaha Beach, one of 5 landing zones, saw the bloodiest fighting as American troops faced intense machine gun fire from fortified German positions. Thousands were killed or wounded in the brutal first hours, but by the end of the day, the beach was secured. The image of soldiers braving the waves and gunfire symbolizes the immense sacrifice that led to the eventual defeat of Nazi Germany. In April 1945, as Soviet troops closed in on Berlin, Adolf Hitler spent his final days in the Führer bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery. The last known photo of him, taken just days before his suicide, shows a frail and defeated man inspecting the ruins outside his bunker. By this point, he had lost faith in victory, and on April 30th, he took his own life alongside Eva Braun. The image serves as a stark contrast to the once powerful dictator who had plunged the world into war. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped the first atomic bomb, codenamed Little Boy, on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The explosion killed an estimated 140,000 people, many instantly, and left thousands more suffering from radiation burns and long-term illnesses. The image of the mushroom cloud rising over Hiroshima marked the beginning of the nuclear age and demonstrated the unprecedented destructive power of atomic weapons. Just 3 days later, another bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, leading to Japan's surrender. During the Battle of Iwo Jima, one of the bloodiest fights in the Pacific Theater, U.S. Marines captured Mount Suribachi and raised the American flag on February 23, 1945. The iconic image, taken by Joe Rosenthal, became a symbol of American perseverance and was later used for the U.S. Marine Corps War Memorial. However, the battle was far from over. Fighting continued for weeks, and thousands more Marines and Japanese soldiers lost their lives before the island was fully secured. The Battle of Stalingrad was one of the deadliest battles in history, with over 2 million casualties. Fought between August 1942 and February 1943, it marked a turning point in the war. The Soviet victory crushed German morale and forced Hitler onto the defensive, The image of Soviet soldiers standing among the ruins of the city highlights the cost of victory. Stalingrad was reduced to rubble, but it became a symbol of Soviet resilience and the beginning of Nazi Germany's downfall. On January 27, 1945, Soviet forces liberated the Auschwitz concentration camp in Poland, uncovering the horrifying extent of the Holocaust. Over 1.1 million people, mostly Jews, had been murdered in the gas chambers or died from forced labor, disease, and starvation. Survivors, emaciated and traumatized, were finally freed, but many were too weak to celebrate. The image of skeletal prisoners behind barbed wire remains one of the most haunting reminders of Nazi atrocities. Following the D-Day landings on June 6, 1944, Allied forces pushed inland from the beaches of Normandy, engaging in fierce battles with German troops. As the Allies secured key towns and outmaneuvered Nazi forces, thousands of German soldiers surrendered, realizing that defeat was inevitable. The image of German troops with their hands raised highlights the collapse of Hitler's Atlantic Wall and the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany in Western Europe. Many of these soldiers were sent to POW camps. On August 2, 1939, physicist Albert Einstein, along with physicist Leo Szilard, signed a letter addressed to U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning that Nazi Germany might develop an atomic bomb. This letter led to the creation of the Manhattan Project, the secret U.S. program to develop nuclear weapons. The image of Einstein signing the letter marks a moment of great ethical conflict. While Einstein opposed war, his warning played a role in the eventual bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. During the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, the USS Arizona suffered a direct hit from a Japanese bomb, which caused its ammunition stores to explode. The battleship was completely destroyed, sinking within minutes and taking the lives of 1,177 crew members. The image of the ship engulfed in flames and smoke became one of the most haunting symbols of the attack. Today, the USS Arizona Memorial stands above the sunken ship, honoring those who perished. On August 23, 1939, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union shocked the world by signing the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, a non-aggression treaty in which both nations agreed not to attack each other. A secret clause also divided Poland and Eastern Europe between them. The image of Soviet Foreign Minister Vyacheslav Molotov shaking hands with Nazi officials is chilling in retrospect, as Hitler would break the pact in 1941 by launching Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in history. In April 1943, Jewish resistance fighters in the Warsaw Ghetto launched an uprising against the Nazis, refusing to be deported to concentration camps. Despite being poorly armed, they held out for nearly a month against the heavily equipped German forces. The image of German soldiers burning buildings and rounding up survivors shows the brutal suppression of the uprising. In the end, almost all the fighters and civilians were either killed or sent to Treblinka death camp, but their defiance became a lasting symbol of resistance. In April 1945, Soviet forces launched their final assault on Berlin, crushing the remnants of the Nazi regime. On May 2nd, Soviet soldiers raised a red flag over the Reichstag, symbolizing the definitive defeat of Nazi Germany. The image, captured by Yevgeny Koldyaev, became an iconic representation of Soviet victory. However, the battle had come at a great cost. Berlin was in ruins, and thousands of soldiers and civilians had perished in the brutal street fighting. On July 16, 1945, the United States conducted the first successful test of an atomic bomb, known as the Trinity Test, in the New Mexico desert. The explosion created a massive fireball and a mushroom cloud, proving the devastating power of nuclear weapons. Scientists like J. Robert Oppenheimer, who led the Manhattan Project, were both awed and horrified. As Oppenheimer later recalled, a verse from Hindu scripture came to his mind: "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." As Prime Minister of the UK during World War II, Winston Churchill became a symbol of resistance against Nazi Germany. His V for Victory sign, made by raising two fingers, became a rallying symbol for Allied nations. The image of Churchill making the sign in 1941 was taken during a period when Britain was enduring heavy bombing in the Blitz. His speeches and unwavering leadership inspired hope, reinforcing Britain's determination to continue the fight against Hitler's forces. During one of the heaviest air raids of the Blitz, St. Paul's Cathedral in London was nearly destroyed by German bombs. The iconic image of the cathedral standing tall amid the smoke and ruins of the city became a powerful symbol of British resilience. Volunteers and firefighters worked tirelessly to prevent fires from spreading to the cathedral's wooden structure. Despite widespread destruction around it, St. Paul survived the war and remains a landmark of endurance in the face of devastation.